So, why does everybody feel really emotional about the Charlie Kirk incident? And I think the precursor of the Ukrainian girl on the bus was another sickening event, 100%. And I feel like the two being so close together have really repulsed a lot of people and really made people feel very vulnerable and very that life is precious. And I think the hit off the back of the Charlie Kirk incident and the amount of vulgar things that people have said is quite eye-opening as much as the incident itself. But also we need to ask questions on the social media platforms that you can't say a boo to a goose about a lot of stuff. Content gets took down left, right and centre, yet there's thousands of videos of both events in full graphic content that kids and youngsters are watching, not to mention all the kids and youngsters that were there watching the actual event that's seeing it live. It's a vulgar and vile, horrific event for the world to have witnessed both the Ukrainian girl and Charlie Kirk. I think it is shocking and it makes people feel vulnerable and scared and that life is precious and scared of the future and scared of the world that we live in. And not that one person can have so much hate for that one person, but a wider section of society can have vulgar hatred for that person openly. I think is quite shocking. And I think what they're like poking fun of is the fact that he was an advocate for free speech, so therefore they can say what they want. Otherwise, you'd be hypocritical to try and censor them or say that they're wrong in saying what they're saying. I think that's why a lot of people feel real emotional. I think they're a bit sick of the world and a bit sick of the evil that's around in the world and how evil and hateful people can be. And I've had very little comments on my Charlie Kirk video, but one guy, he just come on just basically to spread a bit of hate. And I called him out straight away. I said, don't come in here and try and spread it. I'm not trying to spread hate and this, that and the other. And he stood for gun violence and all this, that and the other, right? As the conversation went on and I didn't rise to it, he called him a C you next Tuesday twice. And I said, all you did was come on here to spread hate. No, I didn't. I knew from the get-go that you did, and the names that you called them, you clearly have an opinion of them that you wanted to share. And it's the whole keyboard warrior situation where people sit behind anonymity and feel like that they can say what they want. But do you know what? The one thing with Charlie Kirk is he stood by what he said, and in hindsight now, if he's looking up from heaven down, he would probably do everything exactly that he's already done again, over and over again, and stand by what he says and what he has done. And not many people would do that with the consequences that he has obviously faced. But I think the thing on the wider scale of things, whether you agreed with what Charlie Kirk said, and I didn't on a lot of things, but it was good to see somebody asking questions. It was good to see somebody standing up for what he believes in and pushing back a little bit of the craziness that's crept into society. And I think a big thing that's kind of hit me recently is the demise of the church and the retracting of Christianity being prevalent in society and the values of it and the good ethics and the good moral values that them kind of people have about family and your neighbour and what society can be and what your country should be and what a man should be and a person should be. And I think the fact that that is diminished in modern day society, it's been one of the biggest eye-openers for me that's actually something that I miss and something that I feel like the UK has lost in recent years, and probably America has to a degree. I know they're a little bit more religious over there than they are in the UK, but it's actually a bit that's one thing that's really hit me, that's a part of me culture that I'm actually missing quite a lot. And I'm the most pessimistic person you could possibly meet, but it was quite interesting to think that that's a part of society that's not going to be there in the future for our kids, them kind of values and ethics and things like that. And everyone will start piping up, oh yeah, well, he stood for this, he stood for that. Let's forget Charlie Kirk for a minute and let's actually just concentrate on society and the way society is and where we're going and what the countries and the world look like today. And events happened, and it is a hateful event, and a lot of hate has come off the back of it. And I feel like as a country and a society and a world and a race, that we all should be sticking together and we all should be pulling together and standing up. And if you didn't agree with him, you could have went and debated him, couldn't you? You could have said, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with that. You don't have to say hurtful things, do you? Really, on the grand scheme of things. I don't like people in this world. I don't think I hate people in this world, but comes very close, but I don't wish that upon them. I don't wish hurt upon them, but some people do, and then people don't really deserve to be in society, do they? Really. And if Charlie Kirk was one of those people, then so be it. I think that's one of the biggest things for me, is that he was pushing back and asking questions and debating things with people. And do you know what? If anyone went and debated him and had a good enough point, I would have probably said that he would have conceded on it. I think the problem is he didn't come across enough people with good enough debating skills, similar to himself. But he had pure confidence and conviction in his points and what he said and the way that he come across with facts and figures and scriptures, and he always tried to back up what he said with facts. But for the rest of us and the way we all feel about it, I think not that he was a ray of light and a ray of sunshine, but he was a means in which people without a voice push back against norms that were forced upon them, so to speak. And like I said, not that I agree with everything that he said, but it was a bit like we'd gone all the way one way and somebody was starting to just come back just ever so slightly. And I suppose in a lazy sense, we didn't have to lift a finger. He was doing it for us. And obviously, for somebody to go and do that to him, it's a bit like any chance of anybody speaking up or having an opinion or having an opposing opinion, it puts into question whether you want to have that opinion, done it, when something like that happens to somebody like that. And that's what's happening in the UK. People are getting locked up for like 3 years for a Facebook post that wasn't actually really that bad. People say worse things to people's faces outside pubs all around the northeast, all around the country, and don't go to prison for a single day. Yet if you do a post, you get locked up. And I think when you're feeling that constrained and that pushed down and controlled, Charlie Kirk was one of those people that was like a free spirit, and it made you feel like there was a bit of hope for us all. Not that you were following him, that you wanted to follow his footsteps and you believed everything that he said, but just that if I feel a certain way, I want to say a certain thing, that there's hope that I will be listened to, or that people will take my point and I won't just be locked away in prison or, labelled something, which seems to be going on a lot lately. And I think the way that he's been taken away in such a way has shocked a lot of people. When people feel like you're coming out from the dark ages and then something like this happens, you're sucked straight back in, you push back into a form of control and a form of compliance. And I feel like the horrendous nature of it, the visible brutality of it, and the underlying reading between the lines of the possible motivation, the politicalness of it, and the control of it, it's like a double kind of blow. It's not just the physicalness of it that somebody has gone in that way, but it's also the constraints on society and the control that's trying to be forced upon people. He's your advocate for this, well, we're going to take him away from you. And it's a big realisation on both them fronts that your intellect's being controlled and is vulnerable, but also your body is vulnerable. Yeah, I think it's them two realisations big time. It's a very polarising subject, clearly, across the UK, across the world, and across the US. And I think it depends how much momentum comes off the back of it. I've seen his wife's statement. She spoke it out, which must be absolutely horrendous. Feel for her. And she had a lot of fire in her heart, and I wonder how much fire a lot of people in America have off the back of it and what momentum can get built behind it. Who knows? And I'm not going to say it's going to be interesting, but it's going to be a rocky road out of this darkness. And I hope we do get to a better place than where we are right now. It just doesn't need to be this way, really, does it? It doesn't need to be this violent, to be honest. It doesn't need to be like this, but obviously some people feel like it does, and that's sad. it's sad to think we're sending our. It's sad to think that you know our kids are going to grow up and feel like this, or be witness to this, or be a part of this on either side. It's not a very nice world and not a very nice thought. It's sickening. I think that's what a lot of people feel. Sick, vulnerable, and sad.